morning, customers. Gonna hit a few people's buttons today, but it kind of hits my button, so I just want to talk about it. I've waited a long time to do this video, and I've mentioned it a few times in other videos that I've done, and just wanted to talk about metal going over top of shingles, and just exposed fastener in general in a residential environment. And how I do not believe that it's the right practice. There are other people that will have rebuttals to that. Of course, I'm biased to my side and way of thinking, so I just want to go over some of my thoughts and show you guys some examples of what could happen if you're installing metal over top of asphalt shingles. So here, I'll just get a picture of the roof, and then I'll just kind of start going into a bunch of different things. So I'm on the ground because I want to show you what is wrong with the metal panels, but that's the asphalt roof that is currently there, and then I'll show you these metal panels. So the first thing, and I can't say that this is very common, that it's installed this way directly on top of the asphalt shingles, but because they do put purlins down or like 1x strapping to fasten it to, but when you don't, the metal panels expand and contract, right? So this metal is expanding and contracting at a different rate than the asphalt shingles, and what's happening here is the bottom of the panel is starting to wear. See that? All this is starting to wear, and that's all the way down through the whole panel. Every single panel's that way. Every single one. Now these panels are less than 10 years old. The customer just recently bought this house, and they were experiencing numerous leaks throughout the roof. And I'm not saying that this system is installed perfectly, but it's very common to see them installed this way. And what's happening there is you have the expansion and contraction of the metal, which is going to happen no matter what you do, if it's over asphalt or if it's installed correctly. If it's on a horse barn, it's still going to expand and contract, but because that's sitting on top of asphalt shingles, and those granules will wear that paint off. Well, the other thing that happens is there's condensation underneath those panels because hot air comes from the home, gets underneath that panel, and then you get water. Well, that water will start to rust those panels, and over time those panels will wear out from the inside out. So a lot of people will say, well, metal lasts forever. That's what that customer, whoever installed these panels, or that customer that had the panels installed, they thought that they were getting a zero problems forever roof. And the reason why they think that is when you're going through Quincy or Hannibal or any town, and you see those 1900s or prior to 1900s built homes, and you see there's that old rusty roof that's maybe got some galvanized coating on it, and you're like, that's a 120-year-old metal roof. So you get in your head that metal is a 100-plus-year material. And the material itself might be, but utilized in the improper function or improper installation, it won't last near that long. And like I said, this metal roof was less than 10 years old, and it's already it had several leak issues, and then you can see at the bottom of those panels, now the leak issues were not caused from that. There were some other things that were caused by that, which I'll get into here in a second, but that was long term. That panel is going to wear out probably, and being an exposed fastener, they're 20 to 25 years. It's hard for me to tell when the panel will all the way wear through, but you can see where that would be a long-term issue, and that's just one. So let's get into some other reasons why I don't think that it's appropriate. One, the fastener is a 20 to 25-year fastener. So the fasteners have that rubber gasket around it. So while the metal panel itself will last a very long time, even if installed improperly like we saw here, it'll still last a very long time because it is a good material. But if you put those rubber fasteners, the rubber ring fasteners on there, they're only rated for 20 to 25 years. So you're going to have issues, potential issues, on every single one of those fasteners as time goes by. So that's another reason. Second reason this roof was having issues was ventilation. So there was no, customer of this house text me, there was no ventilation on this. Well, people are under this perception that once you put metal on, all of a sudden code goes out the window and you don't need any ventilation. So that, again, is not the case. You still need ventilation. Code does not specify that when you have a metal roof you don't need ventilation. And the condensation issues that this customer was having, that you can see on the decking and on some of the plywood, and you can see on some of these other panels that are water stained in places that don't have any penetrations, there was condensation happening underneath this metal panel, and it wasn't being allowed to be ventilated. So over a long term, that can cause black mold, that can cause a decrease in R value. It could cause ice damming. There's a lot of issues that can be caused from lack of ventilation. And when you're installing or having a metal roof installed, you still need to make sure that the ventilation exists. So that's annoyance like number 5 of what happens when I see metal roofs being installed over top of asphalt. Another big reason is when you're doing it over asphalt, you're not able to tear down and see what's going on with the decking or update the underlayments to code. So again, just because it's a metal roof doesn't mean that it doesn't need the same underlayments that asphalt roofing does. In particular, I'm talking about ice and water shield. And ice and water shield is a newer code compliant item. And from everything I'm being told from the city of Quincy, this will be an enforcement in this area in January of 2023. So that's this coming year. It'll be an enforcement, and nobody is installing it right now, especially when they're doing metal roofs. So you want to make sure that your home is code compliant, because you don't want to have the potential for water damage inside your home due to an ice dam. So those are just a few reasons why we would never want to do exposed fastener metal over top of shingles. I keep touching on this because I think that it's a problem in the area. It is very popular. It seems to be a cheap way to get a long roof, or a long-lasting roof, but it's just not an accurate way. So example would be, this is supposed to be a 20 to 25 year roof, or at least with the rubber washers on there. The customer was probably sold on this as a forever roof that they'll never have to worry about, and it lasted less than 10 years. Whereas in asphalt shingles, again, not saying that asphalt is better than metal, I'm saying that installed appropriately and compared to the practice that's currently happening, and the current type of metal, that asphalt's a better system than exposed fastener in a residential setting. I think that that's approximately a 30-year roof, plus you get, when Right Rate Roofing's installing it, you get a 50-year non-prorated materials and labor warranty. So that is a huge deal compared to metal as well. But that being said, I'm not against metal totally. There are appropriate ways to install metal that will last that 120 years, like those other structures that you're seeing in Hannibal and Quincy and all the areas around here. And that metal is standing seam. So there's a difference between standing seam and exposed fastener. Standing seam is typically not as popular because it takes a lot more labor to install. So the cost is tremendously higher. And then if you combine that with appropriate tear off, improving the underlayments, correcting the ventilation, it becomes dramatically more expensive than an exposed fastener over asphalt shingles. So just like anything, for most part, you get what you pay for. And I would caution against anybody doing exposed fastener over top of asphalt roofing. So if you'd like us to give you a quote on your roofing project, you can reach us at rightrateroofing.com. It's just grammatically correct, rightrateroofing.com. The link's in this video, and we typically have most estimates back within 24 hours. I will say that we'll probably be most likely scheduling for springtime next year. We have a few roofs, I think, that are probably going to end up next year installs. So, but that being said, we'll continue to schedule as long as it's 40 degrees or above. And if you'd like us to estimate your project, whether that be for this year or for next spring, you can reach us at rightrateroofing.com. So thanks for watching, and have a good day.